see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stuck.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed. Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This would be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, typically we'll ran off the track in the final quarter. That'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2.
Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it.
Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's a huge
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, even trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3-car gets turned around in front of
Car
Paul.
James Howden looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. Bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide over this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door, banging doors, fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
SCRS Ferrari Challenge returns to SimTV for the next round of the championship at Suzuka Circuit. Welcome back to SimTV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Eric Mickey tonight. Last week we took on the mountain at Mount Panorama Bathurst. This time we're going to head up to Japan for the tricky, technical, and winding Suzuka Circuit. Eric, tonight is another round in our championship. We're going to kick it off with our AM qualifier for the night. We've got about 16, 17 drivers lined up to take the green here. This racetrack is always a challenge because of how narrow and technical this place is. It's super rewarding if you get it right, but it can bite you if you get it wrong.
Yeah, and right now these drivers are really feeling just how much it can bite, as once again, due to technical difficulties, the series is only going to get 1 lap, it seems, in this qualifying session. So you have 1 opportunity to lay down a qualifying lap for this AM Cup feature race, and there's so many places where you can go off track and pick up a little incident point, and then you're going to end up qualifying with 0 time and end up at the back of the pack for the start. So that's definitely the first challenge these guys are facing tonight, and it's already starting here in qualifying.
Yeah, the qualifying is going to be challenging here. You mentioned not getting an off track here. That's challenging. There's not a lot of runoff in any capacity here. There is a little bit of AstroTurf and green concrete around the racetrack, but often that is all off-track area. So there's Mick Blue in the number 96 out of California, working his way around for a flying lap. A handful of drivers have already put in their times. Brian Sohn, the quickest so far, and Ryan Plor, the winner from the AM race last week at Bathurst, sits in second, 2/10 back. Mo Islam, Sarah Tessam, Eric Brown, the rest of the top 5, Anthony Montello, Dominic Dornenberg, Harry Grindell, Andrew Mickey, and Steve Bunting rounding out the top 10. But this tonight is going to be a defining moment in this championship, Eric, as we continue and work our way towards the end of the season. I'm looking down at this racetrack, and this is one of the ones that, for me, is always a racetrack that I don't look forward to driving just because it is so hard to pass and so challenging to lap. But it doesn't mean it's not going to be an entertaining night for driver and broadcast crew.
Yeah, I have a pretty love-hate relationship with the track. I usually love racing here in the faster cars. In these GT3 cars, it's a little more tricky. They just don't have the nimble movement to get through some of the tighter parts of the track and make it as fun as possible. But it also means that you don't have as much room to work with to be able to go and race. And there aren't many clear passing zones. I mean, even turn 1 is probably your best passing zone, but you have a quick little right-hander before you get to really where you have to get on the brakes. It's really hard to outbrake going in there without getting the car sideways or loose or potentially causing problems there. So yeah, these guys are going to have to pick their spots very carefully for when they try to make moves on each other and hope everything works out.
Eric Grindel working his way around this racetrack now. And one of the things about Suzuka is I mentioned how it's kind of twisty and technical, but I look at this racetrack as a high-speed track. You're using a lot of downforce on these GT3 cars around the corner. Just saw Harry Grindel work his way through the famous 130R and then into Casio Triangle. That 130R corner is going to bite somebody tonight. If you run out wide over the edge of that curbing and you kind of catch that AstroTurf that's out there, it is a bad time, Eric. So you're balancing the car, using mechanical grip in the slow corners, and a whole lot of aero around this racetrack. So you better know how to keep these cars on the edge.
Yeah, 130R and the Degna corners are the two really difficult parts here to get all you can, make up all the time that you can that's available to these drivers here. But it's so easy to just push just a little bit too far and completely mess up your lap, let alone mess up your car if you go off too bad and get it turned around or up into the tire barriers. So, yeah, this is definitely one of the most challenging tracks probably on the schedule this season, and I think it's why it's such a historic event on the F1 calendar every year. Everyone, the drivers and fans alike, always love when that series heads to Suzuka. This is a very popular racetrack in the racing world, so because of how challenging it is. And here we are tonight with the Ferrari Challenge Group, and this is different. We were intended at the beginning of the year, they were going to run the short east course, and it would be almost kind of like a quick bull ring of a lap, but once we had some discussions about field size, and we decided to move up towards the Grand Prix circuit. So they're on the big circuit, which is not what was originally planned for. So that kind of changes the mindset when you get into a race around here.
17 turns. We've talked at length about how challenging this place can be. Suzuka is one of only 2 FIA Grade 1 tracks to cross over itself with a bridge. And yes, there is a crossover here. That is really interesting to look at and drive under as we head into our event here tonight. 3 15-minute races, one of them an AM race, the other 2 they're Pro-Am races. Again, the drivers lit up in yellow are the AM drivers. The ones in red with the red spoiler end plates and red windshield banners are your Pro drivers. Temperatures and conditions in the high 70s, so a nice warm day here in Suzuka, Japan, as Harry Grindel rounds out his final lap here in qualifying, 2:03.075. Just getting some more practice in. Because, again, that lap is not going to count for time. He's already run out his maximum number allowed. But that was 0.2 quicker. That would have put him, I don't think he actually would have jumped up any spots at all. So looked like that wouldn't have been a gain for him regardless. So with 23 seconds left, Brian Sohn sits atop the standings in qualifying here. Nicholas Morelli, TJ Cooper, Jonathan Rodriguez, and Mick Blue all did not get qualifying efforts in. They will start at the rear of the field. And speaking of the start of the races here, turn 1 and 2. A lot of racetracks that we go to, Eric, it's a hard braking zone into the first corner. Not here. It's a lift and then kind of coasting through the middle of 1 and 2 before you turn in for the S's. So a really unique first sector on this particular racetrack.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult to get any passive made going into turn 1. But here we are, qualifying has ended. They're starting to grid, and I believe it's Brian Sohn who will take the Rodenzo Pole Award. Here in the AM Cup feature. We'll have another one of those to hand out later on when we get to the first Pro-Am race. But other than that, I think it's time to take a look at our starting grid.
Yeah, let's go down the starting lineup here on the front row tonight. Going to be Brian Sohn with that Rodenzo Pole Award, as you mentioned. Then Drew Lidke in the 121 starts in second place. In row number 2, Ryan Plord, last week's AM race winner, in the 74 alongside Mo Islam in the 206 car.
Behind them, we have Sarah Tessa making her first start in the AM Cup division this season, and Eric Brown on her outside, and then following them is Anthony Montello and Dominic Dornenberg.
And in row number 5, starting on the inside in 9th place, that'll be Harry Grindel in that red and white number 70. Andrew Mickey, the Bombshell Racing Team, number 86, rolls off in 10th. And row number 6, Steve Bunting and Nicholas Morelli in 11th and 12th, the 83 and 095 starting alongside each other.
In row 7, you'll see the return of Jonathan Rodriguez, who's not raced with us since the first Ferrari Challenge season earlier this year, and Mick Blue beside him. And rounding out the final row on the field is TJ Cooper, and making his debut in SCRS, at least in a long time, definitely the first in the Ferrari Challenge as it is today, Scott Ickes in the 117 Ferrari. He's showing up red, but he is allowed to compete in this AM Cup race tonight.
So the field's going to roll off through 130R. The next time they'll be through here, it'll be at over 130 miles an hour before they're going to coax their machines down a little bit. just to make sure that they make it through the corner successfully. Field lined up 16 cars deep, 15 minutes on the board. It will be about 8 laps worth of racing here at Suzuka. And make sure that you don't go away. We're going to have a short break after this race before we load in for our Pro-Am races. 2 15-minute events to round out our next round of the season here from SCRS Ferrari Challenge in Suzuka, Japan. Drew Lidke alongside Brian Sohn. And a long run down to the green flag here, so we're going to have to wait just a little longer before we get that green flag. And there it is, green flag flies. We're racing at Suzuka for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Brian Sohn clears and leads his way down towards turn number 1, pulls over driver's left.
Yeah, I believe this is a pretty strong track for Sohn based on previous history. We'll have to see if he's able to hold on from the lead. Look, they're all funneled into turns 1 and 2. Let's see if they're able to keep it together through these opening double right-handers.
Sarah Tessem has Eric Brown on her outside. That Eric Brown's in the purple car. Tessem in the nicely designed orange and black Project 2 machine. She sweeps on through, and there's a bit of a stack up behind her at the moment with Anthony Montello in a new liveried 21 car, the Lazy Rocket vinyl car. He runs in 7th right now as he tracks on through the S's. Nose to tail through this section here. And the back half of the racetrack is really where that passing will commence. Tessem wide, so was Dominic Dornenberger. Actually, that was Morelli that was sideways. And he's going to get passed now by Grindel on driver's right.
So easy to get a little out of shape coming up that hill, especially on cold tires. They did not have a very long time behind the pace car to get any heat in these tires before they had to go straight into turn 1 at full speed. Looking at Anthony Montello in that Super GT throwback tribute scheme to the, I believe it's the Takata Dome NSX that ran that scheme in the Super GT series years ago. So he's putting a little Japanese racing culture flavor into his car here this week.
Great action back here. Look at Andrew Mickey all the way out to the edge of the racetrack. And going to look on driver's left of Grindel into the braking zone. He's there alongside. Grindel has to leave him space. He runs out onto the turf. Careful pulling that car back on. You want to lighten up the load on the steering wheel. Just let the car drive itself back on the course behind them. Jonathan Rodriguez, Steve Bunting, and TJ Cooper all having a scrap. There's Mick Blue at the back as we head into 130R for the first time. Sohn, Lidke, Plord, Islam, and Eric Brown, your top 5.
Yeah, and you will get the advantage of the draft going through here, but you have 130R, this very high-speed left-hander that's very difficult to even attempt to go side by side, but this heavy braking zone, which is probably really the best position to try to make a move going into this final chicane before they come back on this final right-hand corner, coming back to the start-finish line.
First time across the line, Brian Sohn leads this race. Not a lot of passing happening at the moment as everyone just tries to get their tires warmed up so that they feel like they can attack. Sarah Tessem had Anthony Montello on her rear bumper, but now she closes in on Brown as he slides through turn number 2, and Eric Brown has gone around.
Unfortunate for him, and I think we have to take a moment to look at our championship. This is 2 weeks left after tonight's racing is completed, and in the AM Cup standings we have Nicholas Morelli at 149 points, Drew Lidke at 148, Brian Zabelski also at 148, and Mo Islam at 135. Just 14 points between our top 4 drivers with 25 points on the line for a win. So those 4 drivers are really looking to try to get what they can. They can't give up any points in these last 3 weeks, and right now we don't have Lidke's the sitting pretty of all of those 4 drivers right now, sitting in second place with an advantage on Morelli and Zabelski.
Oh, Harry Grindel's in the fence. That's a fairly big hit as well. Let's go back and see what put him in this position. And probably on corner exit here, might have run just a little bit wide. Right there, gets up on the edge of the curbing that snaps to the right. That's a big hit into the Armco on driver's right there.
That second deg in the corner, that's just so difficult to get all the speed out of it that you can without pushing a little bit too far, getting up on the AstroTurf and getting out of shape.
And he'll drop to the tail of the field. Dominic Dornenberg has also had issues on the racetrack. He'll get back rolling, and we'll see what happened to him as he was right in front of, I believe that's Morelli, and just got loose. Car stepped out, went around. These cars are on edge. You know who else is on edge? Drew Lidke, because he had Ryan Plord right there behind him on the entrance to 130R. Plord now backs off, but looks like he's trying to close back in the Casio triangle.
I think Sohn's best play is almost to see if he can back up Lidke and make sure that Lidke still has to defend from Plord, as it looks like he's going to have to coming down into turn 1 here, as Plord's going to have that draft and have potentially a look on the right side of Lidke going into turn 1. But Sohn's kind of opening up a gap, and he's got to hope that these two race each other pretty hard in order to help him get away and hold
Whoa,
on to the
car
lead.
sideways. It's Sarah Tussum. She's around to the orange car in the backdrop and just drove in too hard. And that's what you're going to fight a lot here, Eric, because these cars love to rotate around their center point. If you drive into the corner too hard, they will just step out. They lack rear balance in those high-speed corners. As you see now, Mick Blue trying to squeeze on by the inside, driven forward from starting dead last as Sarah Tussum hangs on to 10th.
Yeah, I think she was maybe getting a head start on her Formula D career here. Going through there, that's kind of what it looked like. But yeah, very difficult to just race these cars at the limit at a lot of these corners around this track.
Eric Brown going to get into Mick Blue, and Brown's going to spin again. Second time he's had an issue today. And we'll back on it. Is that down in Degner? Looks like
It's
it.
coming out of the uphill and then
it
going
is.
into the first Degna.
Yeah.
So he got all out of shape. I think there was just two very different lines converging. It almost looked like, at first glance, he ended up spinning, just trying not to make contact with the other car that was coming by him.
Keeping an eye on Brian Sohn and Drew Lidke. That gap is about 5 car lengths, but I think Lidke is closing in a little bit at a time right now. We'll keep an eye throughout this next lap or so, but I think Lidke might be the faster car.
Lidke's generally had the speed advantage over Sohn in their careers here, but this is, like, as we've mentioned, it's going to be difficult to get a pass made on this track. So if Sohn can just hit his marks, it's going to be hard, even with Lidke having a pace advantage, to get anything done.
Look at the gain into the Casio triangle. Maybe a bit too hot, though. It costs him a little bit of time on exit, and Sohn will keep that gap as they come onto the front straightaway. TJ Cooper and Jonathan Rodriguez trading spots. New livery for Rodriguez. That is a sharp-looking purple and orange sort of pencil shaving pattern on the side of that. Good-looking car as he runs at night.
Yeah, good to see him back here in the SCRS League after some time off, and he went and raced the Porsche Cup in most of this season, but looks like he's back with us now for hopefully the final 3 weeks of this season, as we're now on board with point leader Nicholas Morelli running in 5th place, looking back at Montello. Morelli's got to try to make up some ground here. Lidke has some advantage over him in terms of where they're running for points right now, so he's got to cut down that advantage if he wants to hold on to that point lead.
Well, Morelli started in 12th and is running 5th, so +7, just got by Anthony Montello in the first corner and squeaked on by before jumping on the brakes for the second turn leading into the S's. And then gets a bit of a chance to run away through the middle sector before the back half, where I really think you can make a lot more passes over on the rear half of the course than you can the front half. So I think it's important that you're quick through the section where no one can pass you. Now, Sohn, Lidke, Plord, 1, 2, 3. Cadmo Islam into the party. He was actually the quickest driver of the top 5 last time through.
Yeah, Islam's really starting to show that he's going to be part of this decision here at the end between these top 4. They're all very close together. Now Plord is in a position where he can't just take any opportunity at Lidke without making sure that he's not going to open up the door for Islam from behind. So these second, third, and fourth place cars are in a really interesting predicament as it relates to their opportunities to better their own positions.
Nice, neat, tidy front quartet through 130R. You see Morelli stretching his gap on Montello in the background. Ooh, a little bit wide there. Every time I see a car jump up on that curbing on the exit of 130R, I cringe just a little bit. We were just here last night for the DC Region SCCA, and that was a tripping point for many of the drivers, especially on corner entry, Eric. Trying to carry speed, it's so easy to just drop a tire on entry when you're trying to use as much of the racetrack as possible, and that is a devastating mistake to make, as we saw last night in the DC Region race.
Yeah, it is so tempting to try to straighten out that corner as much as possible and just push a little bit too far, and you end up hurting yourself more than had you just take a little bit easier.
Now into the S's. Look at Lidke close right here. He's faster than Sohn. Can't really get around him in this spot. Gonna arc that car back to the left. But he's compromising the exits a little bit with the early entries that he's taking. And he's apexing a little early, and I think Sohn is squaring off the corners a little bit more, and that's what's letting him build speed here.
Yeah, like we said, it's just difficult to really set up a pass here. The first maybe half of this lap is really just single lane. You just got to follow in the tire tracks and then try to set yourself up to do something on the second half. And this is the first opportunity as they come around this little bend into the hairpin to get offline, try a different line and see if you can get a run and try to make something happen on the run up to Spoon. And then coming on the exit of that, heading into 130R.
Ryan Plord sitting in third and about 3 car lengths back from Drew Lidke, and he's just chomping at the bit to get one of these 2 cars past so he can pass whichever one makes it through and gets to the lead. So he's sitting right behind those 2 race leaders with 4 laps to go, 3 at the line. See, oh, big mistake there for Lidke. He runs wide. Here comes Plord, going to try to pounce.
Exactly what Sohn needed to see. Plord's going to have the advantage on the line, but is Lidke going to give him the spot? Or are they going to try side-by-side through 130R?
They're going to try it side-by-side. Lidke runs way out wide. Watch the curbing. He's going to hang on and pull back in.
Has the run.
Oh, that was
set up Islam for an opportunity on Plord, but Plord outbreaks him into the corner.
Compromised his own exit. Eric Brown's had some more issues. Mick Blue had a spin a little earlier in the lap, but the battle's all up front now for second. Sohn's driving away with Lidke backing up Plord and Islam. Now they're going to chase each other to the pit wall on the front straight. Into the first corner, still side by side. Islam runs wide. If he can maintain driver's left here, he'll have the left-hander coming up. Stays alongside and had overlap for a second, but has to back out.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. Sohn doing everything he's had to do to be able to keep this lead and potentially win this from the pole position. All 3 of these drivers behind, or you can tell, are just pushing for every little bit of grip they can get, and it's upsetting their cars. They're just not, the cars just aren't able to handle what they're trying to do with them.
Well, the tires are warmed up now, so you're able to have a bit more mechanical grip than you did before, but every time we talk about high aero grip tracks, and I think this is one of them, where the harder you drive, the more downforce works, and it's sort of not intuitive, but if you kind of try to baby it through the S's, you're just going to spin the car out. You don't want to chuck it around. You want to drive it in there and let the car sit on that splitter and let it carry you through the corner, because the harder you drive in, you're going to let that aerodynamic balance kind of set the car. If you try to back off and rely on the mechanical, you're just going to spin the car out. So there's a non-intuitive part of driving at an aero track like this. Steve Bunting has gone around. See what happened to him. Just lazy entry, just got up on the grass and spun the car out. Oh, Morelli's had an issue in the 095.
That's your point leader. 1 point ahead of Lidke coming into tonight, and he's now around at Spoon.
Ran a little
too
wide.
Hard, got up on the curbing, and just went around as soon as he started to apply the throttle, and that's never going to end well.
No, it's such a tricky thing, and I mentioned corner entry specifically. When you've got the car loaded on those right side tires, the last thing you want to do is add throttle. Is he just going to do the same thing again? This time he saves it. Dominic Dornenberg swings to the right to try to drive by. He does, but another hair-raising moment for the driver in that 095 Attrition Motorsport car.
What's important now is that he saved it. He just got to get everything back under control and try to minimize the damage if he can, although just with just 2 laps to go, it'd be difficult to see him gaining more than the 1 position he's going after right now, heading into turn 1 on Dornenberg.
Oh, going to run each other up the racetrack just a little bit. Dornenberg will have to back out and give another try here as they head into the S's, carry some speed, but nowhere to go with it. Up front, not missing anything. 0.7 of a second between Sohn and Lidke. It stayed like that for the last 2 laps. Battle right now for 10th.
Riley doing everything he can to hang on to this position through the S's here. Dornenberg not backing off.
Dornenberg caught the grass there just a touch. Kills momentum in Degner. And another right-hand corner, clips the curb on the right, isn't able to gain any more, so that battle has fizzled up the road. TJ Cooper, Jonathan Rodriguez having a scrap for 7th. For 2nd place, Drew Lidke still under attack from Ryan Plord. I don't think this fight's over yet.
Now they're each about 4 to 5 tenths, kind of wavering in that realm of each other for these top 3 positions, and then you've got Islam a little bit further behind, not really able to make any ground and put any pressure on Plord. But I think right now, if we're going to see any more battles from this top 4, it's going to be for 2nd place between Plord and Lidke. And I think when they're coming up to get the white flag, so Plord's going to probably have to throw everything but the kitchen sink at it to see what he can get done. As you see Lidke just on the edge, on the exit of 130R.
That was a big bobble, and he managed to catch it. But Plord was able to close, and he'll have a slipstream down the front straightaway here as we hit white flag, 1 more lap around. Here he
Got a
comes.
run on him right now. You see the closing rate. Lidke chooses not to defend.
I like the outside lane there. I'm glad he stuck with that. Oh, Plord drives it in deep. Almost gets into him. Almost contact there for second. All the while, Zone driving away. 9/10 now make it a second as these two battle for second place. Looks like Mick Blue has had another issue. We're going to keep our focus up here, though, as this battle for second continues to get stronger.
And remember, these are the drivers that dominated the AM Cup division in the Porsche Cup Series, so they're used to racing against each other, racing hard and at the front of the pack. That usually was for the lead, though. Here, they're racing for second, and Lidke's racing with hopes of the championship here. Plord's kind of had too much of a down season to really have that on his brain right now. He's too far back in the standings for that at the moment. But Lidke's got to play it safe here. As we've already seen, Morelli has struggled, and Sabelski's not here.
Brian Sohn continues to lead this race. Drew Lidke in second, still under attack from behind. TJ Cooper is side by side with Andrew Mickey. And they're going to drag race up off the corner, give TJ Cooper sixth spot. Mickey wants it back, though. Didn't have a slipstream here. And have a look up the inside. Doesn't go for it, though. Stays behind. Going back up to the lead, Brian Sohn heads into 130R for the final time in the AM race tonight. And he is 6/10 up the road from Drew Lidke. I think Sohn's in position to win this race. Nicely done through 130R. Lidke keeps it nice and tidy. So does Plord. And no major dramas through the final couple corners. Lidke closes, but it's not enough. Brian Sohn comes out at turn 17. He will win the Ferrari Challenge AM race here tonight from Suzuka. Drew Lidke second, Ryan Plord third, then Mo Islam, Anthony Montello, TJ Cooper, and Andrew Mickey. This is for sixth. They've got Jonathan Rodriguez not too far behind. To the line, Cooper will grab sixth, Mickey seventh, and Rodriguez spins and crashes. He was on par for eighth place, but will end up heading down pit lane, race over.
Yeah, Brian Sohn with a really impressive, dominant flag to flag victory here in the AM Cup feature race. That's going to be big for him, not in terms of championship, but in terms of confidence for the rest of the night heading into these next two races.
Brian Sohn gets it done here at Suzuka. We'll have a look at our race results. And, well, Brian Sohn out of California, half a second up the road from Lidke. That was a really strong performance by Brian Sohn tonight. I'm curious to see if he can match that in the Pro-Am races. We always see a couple drivers from the AM category kind of spoil the Pro race. They were kind of up racing inside the top five. Brian Sohn might be that guy here tonight.
Yeah, it's possible.
And with that, we're going to cut to break for about 15 minutes to get yourself a warm drink and a blanket and a scented candle if that's your thing. We'll be back in 15 minutes for our Pro-Am race here in Ferrari Challenge. Hang tight, we'll be back at 9:15 Eastern. The M Cup race for SCRS Ferrari Challenge earlier tonight was a barn burner, but Brian Sohn was out front the entire time and won that race. Seemingly pretty low effort victory there. Just drove out there and made it look easy. Everyone else had to work really hard to chase him. But for the final two races of the night, our Pro-Am races, it's going to be a whole lot more drivers, almost 25 of them, getting ready to line up for our two 15-minute twin events. Qualifying underway for our Pro-Am races. A slightly smaller field for the Pro Cars tonight, Eric, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any less close up at the top of the order.
Now we're just now seeing time start to come in. We have Welker at the top with a 2:01.30, Mo Islam with a 2:01.37. So these times are starting to come in, and these guys will have more than one lap at it, as opposed to what the AM drivers had for their session. So look for these times just to pick up and get a little bit more competitive, as we see Chris Hudson now go to the top with a 2:01.248.
Good to see Murphy Nichols back this week in the number 55, trying to turn his luck around a little bit. He's had a rough season in general, just some bad luck and puts himself in some bad situations, but good to see him still kind of working at it and trying to get better every week, and we'll see how he qualifies here. Big slide through the S's. Bryce Calusa's back this week in the number 5, tracks out a little wide there, but he's getting his way up to speed. I think we've actually got more than 25, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, nope, exactly 25 cars here tonight. So looking down the order, Buchanan, I think he invalidated his first lap. So do we only still have one lap for these guys tonight,
Nope,
Eric?
this session is correct. They've got 4 attempts at most, but considering the length of lap time, they'll get 2, probably 3 at most.
Or maybe 3. Yeah. Buchanan working his way through the double left-handers on the way to 130R. And Buchanan has been very successful. He jumped into this series last season and immediately found success, and he's been really good at it ever since then. But I think the consistency is something that he's been searching for just a little bit. He's been awful fast a lot, but probably should have won about double the amount of races that he has. So I'm curious to see what he can do tonight. I think this race will suit him. It's a technical racetrack. He's a technical driver. I think this will be a Zach Buchanan night if he can qualify up towards the front.
Yeah, and tonight we have James Walker sitting in sitting out tonight, as he has other commitments that he was not able to make tonight's race. So that's going to put another 0 on the board for him in terms of points. And right now, coming into tonight, we've got Zachary Buchanan with a 3-point lead over Bryce Calusa in second place, and then Carter Kundinger is 14 points back in fourth place behind Buchanan. So those 3 drivers are really looking to, in Kundinger more than anything, is really looking to make a statement and make some huge gains in the championship tonight with just 2 weeks remaining after tonight.
Looking again at our season, we're going to culminate next week. Well, not quite yet, but Road America will be next week. That's always a fun race. Road America is one of my favorite racetracks in the world. Such a great place to race, and especially with GT3 cars, it'll be a blast to watch race there. Then we'll round out with our a race that I always kind of consider to be a SCRS classic. That's Sebring. Turn 1, I think we've seen, 5 and 6 wide the last couple times we've gone there. It's always been a good race in SCRS, and we're going to make that our finale. Typically, whenever I see Sebring, it's usually the start or the end of a season. I'm not sure if that's planned or it just works out that way, but it seems to be the bookend at some point.
Yeah, it's been all over the series. Very popular track in general, popular track for the Ferrari Challenge, and I think it's home to one of our closest finishes we've ever had, too. So look forward to that being the finale, and I'm sure one of those races, probably the last race of the night, could be in complete darkness, so that'll be a new challenge for everyone as we're trying to settle championships going into that last week, as everything's really close in both the Pro and the AM standings, as well as the team standings, as we got Project 2 Blueprint ahead of AOD Racing in the Pro Class Team Championship, and AOD Racing ahead of Attrition Racing and Can-Am MB Racing in the AM team standings. And actually the AM team standings are really close, all the way down to all the way through the top 5 teams there. So a lot on the line going into these last 3 weeks in terms of driver and team championship.
Well, Mitch Welker just bested Chris Hudson's best time by 35 thousandths of a second, puts him as the only driver to crack the 2-minute 1 second mark with a 2-minute 9.80. So Mitch Welker goes right to the top of the board. An excellent qualifying lap. Buchanan will line up behind him. Kyle Lamb, another Project 2 car, will be in 5th as it stands. So Kurt Crum goes even faster, 2 minutes, .907. That is going to bork the Project 2 teammates a little bit. They were going to line up 1st, 3rd, and 5th. Now it'll be 2nd, 4th, and 6th as it stands.
Actually, the first time I think all season we've seen Kurt at the top of the timing and scoring chart for practice, qualifying, or really any of it. He's really not had the season that he was looking towards having, and it just hasn't really come through for him. But there he is sitting on pole right now with less than a minute to go before this session is over.
He's run pretty well in the races, but it just seems like the qualifying part and the practice part has just not been there for him this season. I think he races better than he qualifies, but typically we've seen him do both really, really well. So Crum will kind of get a head start here tonight and to be able to jump the field here in our twin 15-minute races. So with qualifying concluding, we've got a couple things coming up on SimTV that you'll want to keep note of. Tomorrow, we are off as Friday. We don't have anything currently. Saturday, though, at noon Eastern, it's going to be the return of the Formula I Grand Prix of the United States. It's going to be from Austin, Texas's very famous Circuit of the Americas. So really looking forward to seeing some Williams F1 cars taking on COTA on Saturday. Then Saturday night, Outsider Racing League, they will come back and return with their next round, and they are heading to Charlotte. And then Sunday, it'll be the return of the SRO Esports FCP Euro sponsored series. That will be on GT World with Assetto Corsa Competizione. I'll be joined by SRO announcer Ryan Marine for that one. Monday, the 3-Wide Racing League will return once more as they work towards the end of the season from Phoenix. And then Tuesday, we'll have more FCP Euro Tour action from Grid Life iRacers. We'll be heading to Olton Park with the VW Beetle. 25 drivers lined up here. Let's run through our starting lineup for this first race of the evening here, Eric. And on row number 1 is going to be Kurt Crum in that number 87 and Mitch Welker in the 77 in that Project 2 car, the kind of maroon car on the outside of the front row.
Second row is going to be Chris Hudson and Zach Buchanan, point leader, starting 4th.
In row number 3, Ryan Plord rolls off in 5th in the number 74, and Kyle Lamb starts 6th in the 42.
Row 4 will see Mo Islam for AOD Racing and Jake Johansson for Gripax Racing.
In row number 5, Drew Lidke's number 121 AM car alongside Sean Unterkuffler in the number 9 Project 2 in 10th.
Your AM Cup winner, Brian Sohn, will be taking off from the 11th starting position outside the championship leader coming into today for the AM division in 12th with Nicholas Morelli.
Sarah Tessum, and I missed that one. I think it was Eric Brown. Yes, it is Eric Brown in the 56. Dominic Dornenberg in the 913 rolls off 15th. Andrew Mickey in 16th in the number 86 with Montello and Mick Blue in row number 9, Eric. 24 and 96 starting alongside each other.
And you got Bryce Calusa starting in the back for being involved in the championship. Going to have to make some ground from there with Isaac Snyder starting to his outside. TJ Cooper starting from 21st with Steve Bunting on his outside from 22nd.
Jonathan Rodriguez in the 19 rolls off 23rd alongside Murphy Nichols in the number 55. And bringing up the rear, Harry Grindell in the number 70 will start at the tail. Field rolling down to 130R. And doubling up, racking up, and stacking up for another 15-minute race in SCRS Ferrari Challenge. 2 more rounds remaining after this week. As we mentioned, Road America, the National Park of Speed, a week from today. Probably one of my most anticipated races of the season. And then we'll round out at Sebring, which is another high-intensity, long American road course. Looking forward to all of the above as we come through the final corner here, turns 16 and 17 out of the Casio Triangle. Pace car going to make the right-hand turn onto pit lane. Kurt Crum in the number 87 goes. Mitch Welker does not. He gets caught out quickly. Green flag in the air, and we're 3 wide already. Mitch Welker just got left out to hang there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. There seems to be some type of miscommunication, and Buchanan almost ran into him as they come down into turn 1, all side by side. Let's see and hope that they get through it cleanly.
Yeah, not a good start at all for Project 2. They're going to drop to 4th and 5th immediately behind them. Look at the 9 car. He's out wide. That's Sean Unterkuffler in the bright yellow car. There's cars out in the dirt for a moment. That was Mick Blue's number 96. He's gathered it back up. Unterkuffler, he's on the outside of Drew Lidke and Nicholas Morelli in that 095, the AM points leader, as they run through the S. It's so hard to do this side by side without having an incident. Car off.
Now Unterkuffler's now off.
That's Mick Blue.
Looks like he's off on track back there too.
So Unterkuffler gets involved. Bryce Calusa is going to get turned around. And Isaac Snyder's also gone in hard into the wall in the Bombshell Racing Team 333. So a couple cars getting together here in the opening moments. Andrew Mickey, Dominic Dornenberg, their nose to tail. But for the most part, at the front of the field, despite the chaotic green flag moment, everyone got through there okay.
Yeah, everything kind of went. Welker around, Buchanan involved.
Oh, two teammates tangling.
On the exit of the hairpin.
Oh, this is just a disaster for
Welker
Project
just
2.
got really wide on the exit, got up on the grass and on the curbing, spun around and right into Buchanan's way, and Buchanan really had nowhere to go with it.
Oh, that is a huge shame. Big damage for both those cars. Buchanan is going to try to continue. Yeah, Welker went back to the pits.
That's going to be a tough one. We've seen, this is not the first time we've seen the Project 2 cars have run-ins with each other that really cost them. This is not what you need to be doing when you're on the verge of taking home a championship in just a few weeks' time if the performance is there. And Buchanan's going to be struggling for the rest of this race now, just trying to gain back anything he can. Well, as he's running in 14th right now.
Yeah, 14th. You're going to want to be in that transfer position to get the invert for the lead, though. Where is Kurt Crum gone? He's out front by half a second, but look at Chris Hudson and Ryan Plord running second and third across the line. 7 laps to go this time through, and it's a battle for P2 as Hudson and Plord run nose to tail very tight. They're trying to reel Crum back in here through the S's.
Yeah, things calmed down up front, and I think that was maybe the best thing. The start was the worst thing for Project 2 and Welker, but I think it was exactly what Crum needed, as he got a little bit of a safety there with having those Project 2 cars kind of fall behind. But Hudson, right on in his tire tracks, just trying to gain time. And we know with his qualifying pace that he's got the pace to potentially compete with Crum for this win.
Jake Johansson running down Mo Islam. Some positions shifting around in the backdrop. Another car around Eric Brown. It has been a challenge for the 56 car tonight. And judging by the location of that, I'm going to guess, he actually got in a little hot and a little differently this time. Well, it's the same incident we saw before. Sarah Tessem looks like she's battling with Zach Buchanan. Buchanan's going to go back to 12th, but just got in there too hot. Looped it. Oh, is that Dornenberg that got a piece of it? Yes. Now Sarah Tessem getting passed by teammate Zach Buchanan. Puts the 40 out front. Ooh, was there a touch there?
Yeah, a little awkward there. They were swapping positions and then getting back in line, and there's also a bump there. So I'm not sure if there was contact or if it was just an optical illusion from the way the cars are moving in with each other and the bumps on the racetrack. But Buchanan now runs behind Andrew Mickey as he's trying to take over that, hunt down that 12th position. And this is where you kind of start wondering if you're Buchanan. You just keep, Andrew goes around on the exit of 130R.
Tries to slam the brakes, keep it from sliding back into traffic. But again, 130R claims its first victim tonight. He'll get back rolling here shortly. I was just about to mention that the 40 car of Buchanan, this car looked a lot worse when we looked at the replay after the contact with Mitch Welker to see Sarah Tessem go back by. It's certainly lacking straightaway speed, as you can see here, but it doesn't look as bad. It's actually got the bonnet on it, and when we watched the replay, that had come off. So I think it's certainly wounded, but it's not as bad as I first thought it was.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be okay for most of the track, but the straightaways are going to be really punishing. And as I was just wondering, he's in that position where you almost, if you start getting people breathing down your neck, you almost want to start wondering if it's better to give up the positions and start further up front for race 2, playing a little bit of games with the inversion. But at the same time, you don't really want to give away points at this rate. So. He's in a tough position right now after some early contact with his teammate. So, but he's going to have to make the decision for himself on how to handle the rest of this race.
Well, the strategy in my mind is fight tooth and nail for everything that you can get here, because you know you're going to get a reset. I'd rather bank on grabbing some positions in race 2 with a fresh car than give up positions that I know I can probably hold on to if I work really hard. And Buchanan is trying that right now, battling a teammate. But you see him run a little bit wide there, but looks like he might be a 12th to 15th place car. That might be okay, though. Get what you can out of it. Don't give up just yet. Giving up is what's going to lose you a championship. He'll get a fresh car, and it's Zach Buchanan. He will pass people in race number 2. Murphy Nichols has gone around. a shame for Murphy. He's still having trouble getting the car back rolling again. Here's a look at how he got himself in this position. Probably on driver's right on entry, just probably dips a wheel off here. No, just drives in too hot, car steps out. It's amazing to me how loose these cars get on entry here, Eric. You'd think with the big wing they've got that they'd be more stable, but they are not stable at high speed in the opening laps of a race.
Yeah, it was really, if you go back and look at my last season competing in these cars, it's something that I struggled with a lot, and it was just because, you know, with everything that I'm doing on race day, it was hard to ever really get the amount of practice necessary to completely understand what the car was doing, to be able to get the most out of it. So I often had the same issues where I just, for no reason whatsoever, just lose the back end of the car because I just wasn't used to being able to feel the limit of it. And I think that's what's catching a lot of people out here tonight, because there's just a lot of these fast-paced corners that you don't get a chance to save it. The car is just going to go around at the snap of a finger if it does indeed go.
Well, there's a car that went around at the snap of a finger. That is TJ Cooper. He's had an issue in the 584 car. Here's a look, just climbed the curb too much, got aggressive, got the car unbalanced. That actually was a little later off in the lap here. So let's see. Now car just slowly and lazily spins around. How about Harry Grindell working up into 15th? He started dead last, gained 10 spots and has a clean nose on that thing. And if you keep your nose clean in a race like this, when people are dropping like flies, they're going to gain spots, and he's going to be in a pretty good position for our second race of the night. Up the road, Montello and Unterkuffler, they're going at it for 13th place.
Heading through Spoon now is Undercuffler gets really a good advantage on the entry, but has to give up a little bit. Now he's going to see if he can get a run on the exit to draft up beside Montello, but I don't think he's going to have that as they head up the hill towards 130R.
Watching Buchanan, he's running in behind Sarah Tessum and not able to really close on Sarah, but I think this is a good strategy. Work together with Sarah and use that slipstream to help your stricken car.
Yeah, and if Sarah's able to run a little bit quicker than Dominic Dornenberg ahead, she could end up helping Buchanan pull up to Dornenberg and potentially gain a spot for both of them. My guess would be that by the end of this race, you'll see Buchanan get around Tessum, just thinking about the point situation. You got to get Buchanan all the points you can get right now, and he's got some teammates around him with Undercuffler coming from behind as well. So he's a little bit protected in terms of as far as that goes, with 4 laps to go.
Chris Hudson in the 43 has had Plord sort of chasing him down a little bit, but that gap has not closed. Everyone's sort of found room to race. Unterkuffler and Montello are the closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. Has a look up the inside, nowhere to go with it yet though. Have to wait for a stronger braking zone to leap up the inside. No one touching Crum though, a second and a half out front.
Yeah, Crum, when he has that clean track, it's really hard to expect any mistakes or anything like that from him. If he was able to get clear on that first lap, I think it was more than likely going to go this way, and he possibly just lead every lap, and it looks exactly to be the case as we are now on lap 5 of 8 in this race. Looking back at Morelli and Sohn, 2 of our AM Cup division drivers. Morelli, your point leader, coming in, and Sohn, the winner of the AM Cup feature.
Ryan Plord's around from 3rd place. No damage to this car. I'm going to take a guess and say that he stepped the car out on the AstroTurf right there. We've seen that happen so many times. It's a simple spin. He'll get back rolling and maintain a top 10 position for now, but it's a frustrating moment. We're going back to Brian Sohn, though, won the AM Cup race earlier today and is running pretty well right now, the 4th best AM. It has a look up the inside of Morelli. No place to go as Morelli covers.
Yeah, Morelli being really defensive on that line heading into the final chicane.
3 laps to go. This race is going by pretty quick. For Kurt Crum, though, this has been relatively uneventful, and maybe that's been the key to victory success. The key to success and victory tonight is to get out front and lead. And we saw Sohn do it earlier and Crum do it this time. To get yourself out of the fray, that seems to be the best way to get a victory tonight. I don't think you're going to come from 5th place on back and win a race. I think you got to start up front and stay up front.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the way to go. Not many drivers have been able to make up all that many spaces without help from incidents ahead. And right now we're looking at this train of cars just kind of stuck running single file through this the ending of the first sector of the track here. Yeah.
Tessem, that's going to be a big one. Keeps it off the fence. A big moment there. I just wonder, was there contact or was it just a mistake for Tessem? Through the S's here. No, just got out wide and corrected. Almost snagged Buchanan again. I think Buchanan's got to get away from the teammates tonight. But bad luck. Bad news bears for Buchanan. But Tessem gets back rolling in 18th place.
Yeah, looking at that pole position for race 2, she's able to hang on to that 18th position. We head back up to looking at Morelli and Song battle, and Song goes around, just losing the back end at Spoon, as we've seen. I think this is the third time, maybe fourth in this race alone, but also we saw it earlier in the AM Cup feature as well.
It was a good job keeping it on, off the racetrack, I should say. That will be another valuable spot for Zach Buchanan. Gets himself back inside the top 10. Meanwhile, for 5th, Jake Johansson in the black car and Drew Lidke in the green and black car. He is ready to party, wants a top 5, and he's right there on that rear bumper to grab it. 2 laps to go this time by.
Once again, Lidke showing that advantage on the braking into these corners that he's got, but that really hurts him in the center, as you can see, and on the exit. He has no chance going into turn 1.
Montello and Unterkoffler have switched spots, but by the looks of it, I'm not convinced it's going to stay that way. Montello builds a run here. Unterkoffler's going to go slightly defensive. Montello forced to go driver's left as they scream down towards turn number 1. Some overlap for Montello, but he has to back out and try again.
Yeah, I think right now you've got, with Unterkoffler running behind Buchanan, I think this is where you've got to use Unterkoffler to back up anybody else from being able to pass Buchanan and keep Buchanan with all the points he can get right now. So I would expect to see Unterkoffler maybe not go up and pass Buchanan, but definitely try to make sure that Montello is not able to get back around him.
Bo Islam and Jake Johansson 4th and 5th. Islam's having a pretty good night. The highest running AM driver started in 7th, climbed 3 spots to grab 4th, and has since held station.
Looking back at the field, Bryce Caluso, who's 2nd place in the standings behind Buchanan coming into tonight, is only running in 17th, so even with the unfortunate race that Buchanan has had, he's not going to be losing anything in terms of the championship tonight.
I'm surprised by Bryce Caluso's performance tonight. Running 2nd of the championship, started 19th, only running 16th place. What's going on with this car? He's way off the pace. His best lap is a full 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds behind that of the current race leader. So this has not been a good round for Caluso. Maybe just didn't get enough practice this week, but definitely not on pace, and that is a blessing for Buchanan tonight.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he was turned around on the first lap at the
Oh, he was. You're right.
S's, so that is definitely playing a role in
could have climbed higher.
Now.
Could have climbed higher than where he is. So I guess we'll really see the true pace in race number 2. But again, it doesn't really affect the lap times. That car isn't damaged. So either way, I think he's got some work to do. Kurt Crum takes the white flag one more time around Suzuka in our first Pro-Am race tonight of the 2 that we've got to run. And for 5th place, Johansson and Lidke right now the closest battle other than Buchanan and Unterkoffler.
I'm only just now realizing that AOD Racing does not have Carter Kundinger out here. So, I mean, these drivers do have drop weeks, so ultimately this may be a race that points-wise Kundinger can afford to lose on his season total. But that just goes one more in the direction of Buchanan, where right now, in terms of the championship, the only person he's got to worry about is Caluso, and he's beating him by about 7 positions in this first race.
Jonathan Rodriguez in the 19 has just had a bit of a slip and a slide. He'll drop down. Hasn't been the greatest of races so far for Rodriguez, so sort of par for the course, unfortunately. No close battles, at least immediate threats for position, but Kurt Crum has just set sail, but he's got a lot of positions to make up in that second Pro-Am race of the night. He'll be starting in 18th. That's hard to start 18th and run well here at Suzuka. That'll be a tall order for him, and I'm going to make the prediction that he does not win the second race of the night.
Yeah, that'll be really difficult to do, but I think in order to, he's going to be happy with this race win, but I think the goal for race 2 is going to be just to try to survive and hopefully get a top 10 so that you have a pretty solid night. And he's struggled to get through these races, particularly the inverted field races, without incident. But here he comes around the final corner, coming to the start-finish line to take his first win of the season, I'm pretty sure. And that's not something I would have expected to be saying this late into the season. So Kurt Crum for Bombshell Racing finally takes his first win.
Chris Hudson second, Kyle Lamb third, Mo Islam, Jake Johansson, Drew Lidke, Morelli, Plord, Dornenberg, and Zach Buchanan, the rest of your top 10. Then Hunter Kuffler, 11th. And for Zach Buchanan, I think a 10th is a victory for the amount of damage he received on that car to battle through it and finish inside the top 10 and ahead of his main championship competitor. That is a victory to me. So I think he'll be pretty satisfied with that, even though it wasn't really what he probably was looking for. There's a look briefly at your first race results of the night for Pro-Am. Mo Islam, highest running Am driver, even split between Pro and Am tonight in the top 10. Now I know that we don't have as many Ams or Pros as we usually do, but regardless, I think that shows, reflects well on Mo Islam, Drew Lidke, Morelli, Plord, and Dornenberg for that matter. So all really solid runs for those drivers. And we'll move on here to our second and final Pro-Am race of the night. With that, there is the official checker to the last couple of drivers come across the line. Race number 2, we're going to invert 18. Eric, how does this turn 1 look different? We got everybody through the first couple corners. It was when they got to the back half of the S's that trouble started happening. Do we make it that far this time, or do you suspect trouble before then?
You would hope that we would make it further along and everyone would kind of understand the limits of the cars better around this track. But I think what we're seeing with the fact that we're in our final 3 weeks, this is the inverted field, there's a lot to be made up in terms of championship implications go. So I think we're likely going to see maybe a little bit more hectic in hard edge racing, some elbows out racing through particularly the first sector of this track, going through the start of this race 2. It's going to be your best opportunity to make up positions when you've got everyone side by side and on awkward lines to do so. So that's when you want to make up all your spots. So I think you'll probably see some really aggressive driving.
Taking a short break. We'll be back for the green flag of race number 2 here in just a moment. Back live here at Suzuka Circuit for SCRS Ferrari Challenge, our final race of the evening, the second Pro-Am race for SCRS Ferrari Challenge. We're going to invert our top 18 and put race winner Kurt Crum all the way at the back of the field, Eric. The first corner at any racetrack is always a challenge, but with these cars, getting the tires up to temp and maintaining lateral load on those tires with not a whole lot of aerodynamic help from that rear wing, oh boy, I'm not looking forward to seeing how many cars we lose here on this opening lap. It's going to be a real struggle. I think these drivers are talented enough to get it done, but it's going to take cooperation from a lot of people to make sure that this happens successfully.
Yeah, we gotta. I'm sure everyone knows they've got to be smart as they head towards turn one and get through this first lap cleanly. But at the same time, everyone's got their own agenda, their own things that they need to accomplish. As I stated before, it's going to be your best opportunity to make up positions, and so these drivers know that, and they're going to take what they can. You just got to hope that they all have a little give in them too.
So with warm-up complete here, we'll head down to the racetrack in just a moment. We'll have your starting lineup on the left-hand side of your screen in just a moment. Kyle Lamb should be, well, he was the fastest in practice. Here is a look at your starting lineup on the left-hand side of your screen. Sarah Tessem will be the one lining up on that front row. Steve Bunting on the outside of it, then Bryce Calusa, Mick Blue, Harry Grindell jumps up inside the top 5. And I think Harry Grindell can be mighty disruptive in that number 70. Listed as an AM, but he's been pretty quick this week. So I think at least driving from the back to the front. So if he can maintain a position out front, I think he'll be very strong.
Yeah, and I think this is an opportunity for Sarah to really show what she's got. She's only been here for a couple of weeks now. She's starting up front. She's going to have the advantage of being the leader, being able to start the race. She had pretty decent pace. I mean, we know that Buchanan's car was damaged, but she a bit in that last race, but she was able to stay ahead fairly easily until she made a mistake. So if she can just cut down on those mistakes and stay out front, she might be able to be the third person to go out there and dominate and win a race. But I think when you look at the car starting directly behind her, Bryce Calusa did not have a good first race at all after being involved in an incident on lap 1. Finished very poorly, really hurt his standing in the championships. So he's looking to rebound in a big way, and I think you got to keep your eye out on him to potentially be the one pro driver up front to go out there and maybe take the win away from these AMs.
Trouble at the back. Mitch Welker already has damage, so there was an issue with some checking up. Eric Brown has some damage to the front of his car, so does Andrew Mickey, so a bit of a checkup towards the back there. As we come to the green flag, Sarah Tessem's going to fire off and away. 15 minutes, our Pro-Am race number 2 from SCRS Ferrari Challenge is green.
Yeah, I have to see if we can take a look at some point at what happened at the start there, but Tessem right now has a good run to turn 1. Everyone else side by side. Once again, let's see them get through this hopefully cleanly.
Nicely done for the front runners so far. They've sorted it out nicely. Tessem freeing away some cars behind. Still double files. We head to the S's. Mo Islam in the middle of that. So is Lidke, and Dornenberg. Door's going to get slammed shut there as Jake Johansson and Kyle Lamb battle for 14th place. Very clean and tidy so far. Nice job by everybody.
Yeah, it was these last few corners of this section of the track last race where things started to really go wrong for a bunch of drivers, and we'll see what happens now. You got, I think that's Plord, got a little bit on the grass coming on the exit of the S's, so it's going to really cost him heading into the Degnats.
Yeah, on the inside, he's going to jump the curb. Yes, he does. And they're going to run side by side through there. That is unbelievable. And Plord's going to make a pass on top of that. Well done by the 74 to make a mistake and come back from it. He carries on and continues. There's Kurt Crum. Made up one spot so far. He's got to be mighty careful here, Eric, not to make another mistake. Harry Grindell's around at corner exit. Where has he gone?
I think he got it.
He did get it straight
together.
He did get straight. There he is, right here.
He's able to resume.
He spun a car in front of the field, got back rolling without a whole lot of damage. That's pretty impressive. As you see Dornenberg charge up the inside of Montello, makes that pass in one fell swoop. For the lead, here comes Calusa.
Everyone is really driving hard right now. Calusa has the position for 130R. We'll have to see if Sarah's going to test him and try to stick it on the outside. She'd have the better position.
Oh, they get turned! Tessem slides and going to try to hang on to it. Great save by Tessem, but that's it for the lead. As you see Mick Blue and Steve Bunting come into second. Car off in the background, but Tessem, what a save to keep that car going straight after they made contact. You just cannot run side by side there. Thoughts on that? Did Calusa have enough overlap to really have position there?
It was really difficult to see from our angle, but based on when we first grabbed them, I think that they were almost 100% side by side. That was contact between Sohn and Morelli into turn 1. Tessum just gets through barely. That was almost a disaster for one of our AM Cup championship favorites.
So a lot of shuffling in the mid-pack right now. As drivers, the initial lap was pretty neat and tidy, but now it's kind of getting a little chaotic out there. Zach Buchanan has climbed through from his starting position of 9th spot. He is now up to 4th and making good time, and I think he is going to be the disruptive one here if he can get up in front of teammate Sean Unterkuffler, who is pretty strong. If he can get by there and run down Bryce Calusa, I think he's got a great shot of getting this victory and kind of making up for the mistake of Mitch Welker earlier that damaged that 40 in the first race.
Yeah, and you look back, Kurt Crum has made it 4 positions in 2 laps to get to 14th. So as we've seen how difficult passing is and all the problems we've seen with contact between these cars, I think it's pretty impressive that he's able to do that and not be involved in any of these incidents. So he's going to be looking to continue that progress. Buchanan really taking advantage of some of the issues with the cars ahead.
Oh, there's trouble. The 9 cars turned around. And C. Bunting has to slam on the brakes to miss him. Unterkuffler is going to go from 3rd place all the way towards the back of the pack. And he just, all on his own, got loose in front of the 40 Buchanan. So that is now 3 teammates that have almost caused Buchanan strife tonight, and he managed to dodge 2 of them. Oh, look at this mess. There's Steve Bunting out wide at 130R. Look at the 87 of Crum side by side with Plord. That's for 11th, and Crum's going to keep overlap, drive up onto the curbing to maintain some gap between them. Look up the road. Drew Lidke now side by side. It's chaos on the front straight.
Really is. Tessum now going defensive, and I think that's Johansson trying to make the move on the inside.
Rewide into turn 1. Sohn's going to pinch everybody. That got dicey. Sohn, oh, they're going to touch again. Sohn's going to spin. And it is just every man for himself right now. People leaning on those quarter panels tonight. But it is just so hard to run anywhere side by side here at Suzuka. I just don't think it can be done with this many cars, with this much rush to get to the front.
Yeah, I've been involved in a lot of the wow moments in this second race right now. So we'll have to see how those pan out later on. Once again, maybe at the end of the race we'll be able to take a look at the incident between her and Bryce Calusa and see how that went down. But right now, Calusa is the only driver out there, I think, having a good time as he's out by himself in front of the pack.
Chris Hudson up the inside of Mo Islam for 12th. Big stack up the road behind Gornenberg and Johansson. Now Crum and Plord going back at it again. Drivers left. Bryce Calusa 3.5 seconds out front. He might be good to go unless Buchanan can get by Mick Blue shortly. They still got a little ways left. 5 laps to go at the line. I hear spinning and sliding. Buchanan is around again, this time with Mick Blue, and the race leader spun out.
What is happening?
Mick Blue, or let's look at Calusa first. He makes a mistake, and then behind him, there must have been a touch between these two. Look again. So the leader spins all on his own. Was there help from Buchanan to the back of, oh no, Mick Blue spun first, and Buchanan just has to stop. Great job by Buchanan to not run into him, but he's now lost a lot of time and positions. Doing that side by side with Drew Lidke. Fenders leaning on each other as they come through Casio Triangle.
Really tight. Really tight.
Oh, Kurt Crum. Oh, he's upside down. Kurt Crum on his lid. It is 2020. Just a stack up leaving the Casio Triangle. Gets tipped up and over by, I think that was, who was that? That must have been Mo Islam in the 206. But Kurt Crum is out of the race. Drew Lidke spun out. He gets clobbered by Kyle Lamb. It is just gone to absolute hell here in the closing laps here at Suzuka.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what we're seeing over the last couple minutes here. Just every time we cut to a new camera, something is happening. And cars are off track and hitting each other or other things, and it's really hard to keep up. Morelli is leading. Calusa was able to somehow maintain second position with Buchanan in third.
Yeah, Buchanan is still the threat, I think. I think Buchanan's better than these front two. It's just a matter of if he can continue to dodge all the incidents we've seen so far. Tessem has a look at Johansson, no place to go there. Unterkuffler and Plor, look at this stack up. We're still going to have more incidents. Murphy Nichols is up to 10th place.
Think about all we've seen Tessem involved in G6.
Chaos here at Suzuka. I don't think this has probably been the most chaotic race of the year, and that's saying something. Plored up the inside of Murphy Nichols, keeps the fender off for the lead, though. Bryce Calusa is back, and he wants his position back from that 0.95.
Like,
so close. Buchanan is right there.
I think we found all the loose screws that are left over after those IKEA purchases, because they've all made their way out onto the track tonight.
I think that is an apt description of what the second race has been. Oh, look at the 0.95. Almost got the tires in the grass on driver's right.
He did,
Here comes
and that kept him
Calusa.
from being able to turn in like he wanted to. Now he's got to defend heading into the triangle.
And this is all helping Zach Buchanan's number 40 as he closes within a second of these front two as they come to the line. Still 4 laps to go here at Suzuka.
Calusa got the run. Is he going to have a say, something to do? We have Lamb around in the triangle once again.
Murphy Nichols is around. He's off the racetrack already for the lead. Here's Morelli and Calusa. And look behind. There is that teal number 40 of Buchanan. Contact with a teammate earlier is what put him all the way back in 10th in the first race. And here he is banging on the door of a silver medal, and he wants that gold. That's a 1/10 of a second in front of the silver, and he's right there. 3-way battle for the lead. 4 laps to go. Calusa up the inside. Real tight here through the left-hander.
Morelli somehow knew that he was going to be there, gave him a little bit of room to get there. Now they're side by side. Little wiggle from Calusa. Heading down on the deck. This is not where you want to be going side by side. They're right on the edge of their seats right now. I'm almost afraid to keep talking because I'm just waiting for the camera to cut to something else going wrong.
Next time by will be 3 laps to go. Buchanan looks like he's taking his time. I think he knows that this battle is going to continue, and his opportunity might just be to sit back here and watch these two spin.
With all he's been through, you'd think he would just wait. He would just be happy to take the 3rd place in this race, or at least just stay back and hope something happens to the 2 ahead. But it's going to be really difficult to see this race for the lead come down to these 3 drivers. And the way we've seen them driving tonight, I'm not sure it's going to go down without contact.
Now down towards 130R, Morelli, Calusa, and Buchanan nose to tail. Watching on board from Buchanan as he sits about 5 car lengths back.
Calusa going to try to make a move here. Morelli defends. They both missed it a little bit. They both go wide. This is going to give Buchanan a chance on Calusa to get a run out of the final corner.
Nose to tail, 3 to go, and Buchanan is going to have a slipstream here. Calusa is going to stay defensive, but this might cause him to lose ground on Morelli. Buchanan can't sit back here for too long. He's going to charge up the outside. Calusa might give it to him, but did Buchanan drive in too hot? He's a little bit wide, but he completes the pass on driver's left. Power move by the 40 car. He's through to 2nd.
I find it hard to believe Calusa would have just given that spot up. That makes me believe that Buchanan just really just held on for all he could to try to hope that it stuck on the other side of that corner, as he now sets his sights on Morelli, and he's almost to his rear wing before we're even out of the S's.
He's right there now, trying to recover and grow that points lead with 2 rounds left in the season. Road America and Sebring are always a little bit chaotic because of the competitiveness of the field. Everybody can get the job done at Road America. Everybody can get the job done at Sebring if you put yourself in the right circumstances. Buchanan knows that. It's a wild card. Both those races are wild cards. This one is all about who is the most skilled at Suzuka. At least once you dodge all the spinning and sliding cars upside down across the pavement, then it's all about talent and who can get it done. Jonathan Rodriguez around and spun. Will go back up to the front.
Plenty of time for Buchanan to take his time with this as they head into Spoon.
Sitting right behind. He's in position, but when do you make that move?
Well, he's got a little bit of an edge there through that corner. It looks like his car just got through there a little bit better. So I think overall, Buchanan's just got a little bit of the better car right now, a little bit of speed advantage over Morelli. So I think you just keep pressuring him, and you wait to see if you can force him into a mistake until things get desperate on that final lap.
All around the outside now for the lead into Casio Triangle. He's alongside. He dumps the curbing on the left. Now side by side for the lead as they come down the hill. They touch.
Contact.
Fender to fender. They bump and slam as they come to the start-finish line. 2 laps to go here from Suzuka.
Lewis is right back with him now.
Into turn 1. Charging down towards the first corner. Who backs out? Does anybody back out?
Buchanan's going to drive it hard like he did last
too hot.
lap, and I think he's going to make the corner. He gets loose.
He drove in there too deep. Can he keep overlap now as they head to the S's? Not quite. I think Morelli has re-cleared him. Yes,
He's
now
challenged
Calusa's
from
got to the
Calusa.
right.
Now they're side by side.
Oh, 1 through 3. It is an all-out brawl. Dornenberg chasing them down from 4th. Don't keep him out of the fight just yet. But the front 3.
Johansson's right with Dornenberg too.
Oh, man, this is getting dicey. I thought Buchanan could focus on Morelli alone, but he's got Calusa behind him that is playing a role here.
I think at this point, Buchanan's got to set up Morelli for a move into the Casio Triangle.
But do you go right or do you go left? That switchback, he almost made it happen on the left, but I think you gotta, if you can complete it by the time you get to turn 1, I think the left is the place to go, but I just don't know if you can do that. I think you gotta take the right just so that you have the overlap into turn 1.
I don't think, I don't know. But I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to go on the right. I think Morelli's going to protect that, knowing that that's the preferred way to get through that corner.
Through Spoon now for the penultimate time. Buchanan exits lower. He's going to build a run here.
Tighter.
That's going to be a great slipstream. Here he comes.
He's got the run. The question is, can they side by side? We've seen this go bad once in this race already.
Oh, you're gonna crowd him on corner entry, side by side through 130R. Buchanan out wide into the AstroTurf on the right. He's through on driver's right. He might complete this pass in the Casio Triangle. Morelli hangs on. They run together. Gonna slam doors. Buchanan gets bumped out of the way. Morelli takes the lead back as they drag race to the line.
And Calusa's right there. He's pushed off track.
Calusa's off. He's gonna just keep it off the barrier. White flag one more time around, and it's on for the lead.
I really don't believe what we're seeing with these 3 drivers over these last couple laps.
Oh, big
Buchanan
slide.
gets in there.
Big slide for Morelli. Buchanan's got to drive up the inside, gets the door slammed on him as they head to the S's. He's there. He's faster. They touch again. Morelli off the racetrack.
Morelli just a little bit off.
And Morelli's in the barriers. Move Buchanan to the front.
I think Morelli got a little bit out of shape, and that just messed up his entry into the next corner, and Buchanan just couldn't really do anything to back out of that. So that'll have to be looked at, I'm sure. But Buchanan right now is sitting in the best position to come around in this last lap for the win. Dornenberg is up to 2nd.
Wow.
Johansson 3rd.
What a drive for Dornenberg. Started back in 10th, has driven up to 2nd. Buchanan 9th to 1st. And still a scrap going on behind him for 4th place with Calusa, Hudson, and Morelli. But what a battle for about a half a lap we saw there. Andrew Mickey.
Andrew together in the Degnas. I think they made contact.
86 cars around and turned around. Mick Blue, Brian Sohn, they were separated by 1/10 of a second. Now it's up to 7/10. But Zach Buchanan leads this race. I think he was faster. It was a matter of time. It's just where and how he was going to get done. He's wide there just a little bit. Got to be cautious. Don't get too excited and throw this all away. This is going to be a race that Zach Buchanan earned. He had to avoid wrecks left and right, both in race 1 and race 2. Dodged them, weaved through them, climbed up the order, door-to-door battles, contact everywhere. But he has held on. Dornenberg is a full second back. Unless there's a big mistake by Buchanan, he's going to get it done at Suzuka. The points leader, with all the challenges that he faced tonight, he will come through the final corner, and Zach Buchanan from Project 2 will get it done at Suzuka. He wins in Japan.
An amazing run by Buchanan in the second race. Amazing racing, but also a lot of carnage. It's kind of, I'm not sure how to feel about this race, and I don't think the drivers are either.
Oh, I think everybody's pissed. I think everybody's mad right now. But for Zach Buchanan, it doesn't matter.
If you caught that, Calusa just gave Buchanan a little nudge there, so I'm sure that there's a little bit of hard feelings between the two of them.
Oh, I think it's only the start of what's to come. We go to Road America next week. and you got to have some friends there if you want to run well. I don't think there's a lot of friends after tonight. Let's have a look at our race results. Wrap this up and debrief with a couple of the drivers. Buchanan, Dornenberg, Jake Johansson, your podium. How about Johansson getting up there in the 06 car? Then Kalusa and Chris Hudson, 4th and 5th. Morelli, Islam Tessam finishes in 8th after all that. Unterkuffler, Plord. And a disappointing night for Kurt Crump, finishes 19th. And Drew Lidke back in 20th. Mitch Welker, Murphy Nichols, just a poor night in general, poor showing. But just a lot of trouble to avoid tonight. They were not able to miss all of it. We'll be back in just a moment to interview our race winners. Stay with us. Back live on Sim TV after a wild one here at Suzuka Circuit. SCRS Ferrari Challenge, the second Pro-Am race of the night, ended in lots of controversy and drama. Nick, there was all-out brawls all over the racetrack. Cars upside down, backwards in the catch fence, in the tires. You were battling door-to-door with Buchanan, but didn't quite end up in victory lane. Take me through those last couple laps and what happened there coming to the checkers.
Yeah, I was probably pushing a little too hard. I'd had a couple of moments there before in the race, so my tires were really, really well done. And with the way it was really difficult to pass here tonight, there wasn't a whole lot of draft. I just thought if I could block and be as defensive as possible, I might be able to come out with a win. I needed some decent points because the first two races tonight were not good. And it just, elbows out racing is elbows out racing. It's not how I wanted to end the night, but it was fun to be up there fighting for a win when I really didn't think I had the pace to be there tonight. So I'm happy to be there. Not exactly happy with how it ended, but it is what it is.
A well-earned position. I know it wasn't quite as high as you wished, Nick, but that was a phenomenal battle there. Well done. Nice job, and good luck to you next week at Road America. That's going to be a wild one, too.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Nick. Moving on now to Brian Sohn, who was our Am Cup race winner earlier in the night. Brian, a really strong run of the opening race of the evening to basically go out there and lead the entire race. Not a whole lot to write home about in the second Pro-Am race of the night, 11th place. But take me through that first race of the night and just driving away from everybody.
Yeah, the first race, actually any of the races here, I think had a lot to do with qualifying. It was really hard to pass anybody. And I just edged out Drew on that first race, which was really, really good. I realized that there was only one lap of qualifying, and so I was trying to bridge that edge of being ambitious and excuse me, and not so ambitious, not to throw it away. And I just inked it out and got the pole and was able to pull away at the start. And a couple of laps there were a little bit sketchy, but for the most part, it stayed under me. And there were just a couple times where the track felt really slippery and I almost lost it, but held on.
Next week, we head to Road America, and then we finish out at Sebring, two American racetracks that are always really highly participated. Your thoughts on those final two races and how you think you'll run there?
They're both tracks that I like. I don't tend to run it as well at Road America as Sebring. We'll see. I mean, this season hasn't been all that great for me since I came back, so we'll just see how it all pans out.
All right, well, we'll see how it pans out at the National Park of Speed in 1 week. Brian, thanks for your time. We'll see you at Road America.
You're welcome. See you later.
And moving on now to Zach Buchanan in the number 40 Project 2 car. Got it done. Wow, a lot of effort tonight, dodging bullets left and right, missing teammates left and right. Had to dodge a bunch of the Project 2 cars this evening. And then door slamming, bumping, and banging with Nicholas Morelli's 095 car. But battered and bruised, you got that 40 car to victory lane tonight. What a drive. Take us through it. What did you see out the windshield?
Well, I ran out of patience tonight, if that wasn't clear. Yeah, the first race, and that just happened. Not much I could comment on. I did what I could with the car, and I guess came 10th. Not going to complain about that. Second race, again, did as good as I can, but towards the end there, it was getting closer than I really liked, and I kind of pushed Bryce off in one point because I was kind of trying to play games with Nick, and I didn't see him to my left. I kind of did that, and on the last lap into the S's, I feel like I got brake checked, and I'm not going to say I regret what I did. So.
Well, it was a really good battle tonight, Zach. Good luck to you next week at Road America. That it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you at Road America, the National Park of Speed, and then Sebring. Good luck to you in the next 2 weeks. All right, we're going to move on to close this thing out, Eric. What a crazy night. I mean, we always say that, but tonight I think truly takes the cake of the craziest race I think I've ever seen in SCRS, period. But a very solid race for the end there. Tempers flaring for sure, but that means the racing's close.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I think it was pretty average. The AM Cup race and race 1 were kind of pretty par for the course in terms of what we're used to seeing here in SCRS. But that second race, hell was breaking loose every lap. It was really hard to keep up with all that was happening and all of the drivers that were having offs and incidents, and then being able to rebound or versus the ones who weren't. Great racing that I'm sure people are going to feel a lot of things about between those top 3 at the end there. But, I mean, it put on a hell of a show for us to call and for anyone who sees this to watch. So, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the more important factors to think about when reflecting on this race. But I know those drivers involved are going to have very different feelings about that moving forward.
There'll be a lot of feelings moving forward into Road America next week. The National Park of Speed, Eric, that's where the season is going to come into its penultimate race. And then we had to Sebring to finish everything out. So 2 very long American racetracks to finish out the season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think those are going to be 2 great racetracks to finish out the season. The long straightaways, perfect, a ton of passing opportunities at both. So I think we should see some of our best racing of the season, if not of the league in general, when we hit the Road America course next week and then Sebring the week after, and wrap things up here for Ferrari Challenge and SCRS in 2020.
All right, we'll see you next week from Road America next Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. We'll see you there. You'll see us again on Saturday morning, noon, for the Formula I GP of the United States at Circuit of the Americas. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time here on SimTV.